I was pretty shook up from the last level when I started Trance. Trance's map music didn't ease the tension either. As to describe it, have you heard of the theme from Videodrome? That's the closest thing I could think of to compare it to. I checked to see who the new monster was, and it was Orga, a monster that didn't make his film until 2000, appearing in a game made in 1988. So much as my theories about Titanosaurus and Violante. There's absolutely no way this game was made in 1988. Those guys at Toho may be smart, but I'm sure they couldn't see that far right into the future. If they could, they would never have gave Roland Emmerich the rights to make a Godzilla movie. No. This has to be a hack of some kind, which just opens up even more questions. Who made this hack? When? How? And most importantly, why? The why was the question that bothered me most. My immediate assumptions was to think Billy did this to pull a joke on me. But that couldn't be right either. Billy didn't know how to make a ROM hack. And even if he did, he'd probably do something simple and stupid like replacing all the monsters with cruelly drawn genitalia. Unless Billy had some amazing skills editing and a serious dark streak to his imagination that he never told me about, he couldn't have made this. Is it really that possible to put a hacked ROM into a cartridge? Aside from all that, my eye was drawn to a new icon on the map, a question mark. I was really curious as to what it did. And I'm sure you're also curious, so I'll explain the quiz levels now, since this was when they started appearing. There was one of those per map on here, and they always appeared near the start of the map. When you started a quiz level, you appear on a screen like this. As you can see here, there's a question at the top, a yes and no button, and a emoticon in the center. I refer to the emoticon as face, creative, I know. And for convenience, I'll refer to face as the one asking the questions. The music for the quiz level was actually tracked in the game. It's the one that plays when you try to use the Ghidorah cheat and get to set into an unplayable level. Face asks you 12 yes or no questions, and you move your monster to the buttons for your answer. When you answer, the question disappears and Face changes expressions for about 8 seconds. Then he goes back to neutral and a new question comes up. There was no time limit nor any right or wrong answers. Face has no respect for the player's personal boundaries and will sometimes ask deeply disturbing and personal questions. For example, do you like hurting people? Have you ever killed or raped anyone? Have you been molested by a family member? Other times he will ask questions that were either mind-numbingly stupid, like is the sun hot or is water wet? Or just flat out ridiculous questions like does your dog like the president? And maybe once per quiz, Face would ask you a question about the game. With one exception, Face's expressions changes seemingly to have no effect on the game, except for indicating what the game creator thought of your answer. His reactions rarely made any sense. At first, I thought they were randomly generated. The questions never followed a pattern. Face never stayed on the same subject for more than 2 questions. Early on, there were questions that made me think Face was building up to something, only to then ask some stupid garbage. Here are the expressions of Face that I saw while playing the game. I'll separate them into 2 categories: the expressions I understood and the expressions I didn't. First are the expressions I understood. 1 is neutral, his default expression. 2 is angry. If you try to attack face, his expression changes to this, but nothing else happens. 3 is sad. 4 is happy. 5 is sick. 6 is maniacal. Face made this expression when he was being an asshole. You'll see what I mean later. 7 is surprised. 8 is love. 9 is annoyed. 10 is confused. And 11 is guilty/hurt. And here are the others. 2 of them only appear once, number 1 and number 12, and I suspect they might have been in-jokes from the creator. The respective questions were, do you like ice cream? And are you a tough guy? As for the questions in the first quiz, luckily I had a notepad and pen handy. I have problems remembering things, so I often to carry one around to jot things down. And sometimes I doodle in it when I'm bored. So for the first quiz, I started and thought I'd recorded what happened. I'm glad I did. Here are the first series of questions, my answers, and Face's reaction.
Do you like the game?
Yes.
Are you afraid?
Yes.
Are you over 18?
Yes.
Do birds have teeth?
No.
Is peanut butter good?
No.
Does the moon rotate?
Yes.
Have you had a job?
Yes.
Do you like hurting people?
No.
Is the sun hot?
Yes.
Do you like dogs?
Yes.
Is the president good?
Yes.
Does your dog like the president?
No. Now that I've explained all that, it's time for the gameplay. After the first quiz level, I tried the green temple icon first. Wow! Maybe this is why the game is so weird. Or one of the designers was clearly drugged out of his mind. Jokes aside, I was quite impressed by the graphics of this level. But I hate those creepy staring statue faces. The music had a hypnotic Indian techno vibe to it. There were 2 new enemies in this level. A flying ghost type thing with a trunk, and a bat with a horse skull for a face. They appear at random, but I was lucky to get a screenshot of them both. Then I proceeded onto a blue mountain level, expecting another nice calm stroll. I took my time walking through and was completely taken by surprise when this happened. Not Mogera came speeding towards me and took off quite a bit of health with his tentacle screws. It only took me 2 minutes to kill him without having to worry about a time limit. But the bosses never shown up in the scrolling levels in a normal game. I was worried as to what other rules this game might break. After another Blue Mountain stage, it was time to fight Not Varing, whose replacement was one of the most bizarre things in the game. This strange creature attacks you by kicking and also opening up his chest and firing heat-seeking missiles. I still don't get it. The missiles were sometimes a pain to deal with, but I found out that you could tail whip them out of the way. Not Varing was probably the easiest of the monster replacements. The same could not be said for Not Hedorah. Apparently, the source of the horse bats, Not Hedorah, was the most aggressive, difficult monster to fight yet. Mostly because of his special abilities. He could shriek and summon a small swarm of the horse bat things. I know there's only 2 in the screenshot, but every time he did this, about 10 would arrive. The AI took advantage of the distraction and attacked twice as fast while the horse bats were flying around. Once that annoyance was over with, I went through a green temple to kill some enemies so I could restore my health. But interestingly, none of the horse bats showed up after Not Hedorah was killed, and that is when I got an idea. If killing all the monsters make the red face showed up, what would happen if I avoid fighting Orga and go straight to the base? So I give it a try. Unfortunately, the game told me that there was no monster there, and when I tried to start the base level. And immediately afterward, the game took control of my Godzilla piece and moved it in front of Orga. My little trick didn't work, so I tried to prepare myself for another chase. But first, I had to beat Orga. The fight with Orga confirmed another thing. Whoever created this game hack was clearly a Godzilla fan. Not only did they pick the monster like Orga, but they actually implemented something that happened in Godzilla 2000 in a really neat way too. Orga's primary attacks were a punch and a heat beam from his shoulder cavity. But once you have got him down to half of his health, he did something new. He would expand his jaws and try to swallow Godzilla in order to process stealing your health and energy. But in doing so, he gave himself a new weakness. Firing a heat beam into his mouth would take a devastating 4 bars off his life meter. With that weakness revealed, I soon beat Orga. And despite how much I had hoped otherwise, the red face appeared on the map where the base was, and the music stopped. I readied myself as best as I could. I started the level, and seeing that it was basically the same as the first, I didn't waste a millisecond before I started hauling ass. I soon encountered obstacles in the form of the ground tile, suspending in the air. Most of them you could jump over or destroy, others you had to crouch under. About 40 seconds into it, I heard the horrible bellowing and saw the spider beast falling close behind me. Stacks of obstacles barely slowed it down. It would break up and then charge its way through them, smashing them into bits. And when the smaller obstacles got in its way, it would expand his jaws and swallow them whole. I was extremely afraid, but with that fast thinking and faster button pressing, I escaped it yet again. I felt really excited, so I laughed and said, "Not this time, asshole!" Ha ha! I decided to take a screenshot to celebrate. But when I said that sentence just before the level ended, the monster did something that made my blood run cold. It looked at me. That wave of mortal terror overtook me again, and I sure as hell wasn't laughing anymore. I took another screenshot of the next level title right before I rushed to the bathroom to splash some water on my face and to take a piss that I nearly failed to contain when that fucking thing looked at me. On to the next world. Dementia.